And in the co-main event, we got the first of the two title fights on the card with Brandon Moreno defending his UFC flyweight title against Alexandre Pantoja. And this is another rematch, trilogy actually. Brandon Moreno just can't get away from fighting the same guys he's fought before. He fought Davison 4 times in a row. Then his last fight he fought Kai Kara for the second time. Now he's fighting Pantoja for the third time. So he's real familiar with a lot of guys that he's fought, and most of the time it's him on the right end of it. Like, he has more wins over Davison than Davison has over him. He is 2-0 against Kai Kara, but Pantoja is 2-0 against the champ. So that gives a different dynamic to this fight and a very interesting storyline coming into it, because Pantoja has his number, at least from what we've seen so far. But one thing about it is kind of like the old boxing thing. I don't even think it was done on purpose, but Pantoja, he's kind of getting weighted out. Like, he's 33 now. The first time that Davison and Brandon fought, I think Pantoja was like 29, and he was ready for a title fight then. Since then, he's taken out a couple more top contenders, and it doesn't look like he's losing a step, but 33 years old is definitely getting up there for flyweight, and Moreno's 29. He's still in the peak, or kind of peaking in his career at this moment, and I think that's a big deal. I think if they would have fought a few years ago, Pantoja probably would have had a way better chance to win the belt, and the line is kind of weird. Like, obviously Moreno is 0-2, but he's a minus 190 favorite. How often do you see that? The guy that's lost twice is a pretty significant favorite over the person that defeated them 2 times in a row. But the last time that they fought was 5 years ago, so that definitely needs mentioning. And the venue and where they're fighting at, this is going to be a big Brandon Moreno crowd. All the other times they were fighting, they were still great fighters. They were leading the weight class, but it was a throwaway fight on the card. And now they're in a showcase spot. Everyone is going to be there for Moreno. It's going to be a different atmosphere, a different vibe. It's going to be the biggest fight of Pantoja's career by far. And I don't necessarily think that's something that's going to get to Pantoja. He's been fighting since 2007. He's a super vet, and he deserves to be in this moment, and I think he's going to be ready for it. I think it's going to be an exceptional fight. And the way these two guys match up, if you watch the first fights, on the feet, I definitely think Pantoja has the edge, even now. Like, Pantoja, he has crisper hands. Like, he throws cleaner straight shots. His jab is killer. It really works Moreno over. He has nice straight punches, clean. He is fast, and Moreno loops a lot of shots. He's gotten a lot better throwing straight down the pipe, but he's still a little bit of a looper, wide punching, hooks, and Pantoja's just a little faster to the target. And the other thing about it is Pantoja is that durability, man. The guy can eat punches like cupcakes, and then he can return with big power. He has power in his hands too. So if he makes it a war, which Moreno likes to do with a lot of guys, and a lot of guys will back down to Moreno in those wars because Moreno has the durability as well, and he also has the output. And some guys, they could tag him early and almost get him out of there, like Figueiredo, but then they can't match the pace, and then he can start melting them. Or some guys, they just can't take that relentlessness. They don't have the power to back Moreno off, but Pantoja has the durability, and he is willing to sit in there and sit in the fire and match that kind of fight. So it makes it a lot harder on the feet for Moreno. But one thing that Brandon Moreno, I think, is going to be the difference in this fight and in his improvements is in the wrestling. I think that a lot of people are talking about his striking has gotten better, and he's going to be able to compete on the feet a lot more with Pantoja. And I think in the later rounds, that's true. But I think if he wants to win this fight, it's going to be through using his wrestling, which he's been using a lot more in recent fights. And Pantoja's a beast on the ground. The guy has 6 scrambles, is very good jiu-jitsu. He takes the back really, really well. So Moreno has to be aware of that. And even early on, if Pantoja gets into an advantageous position or two, just don't panic, stay composed, and know that it's a 5-round fight. And ultimately, I think that if Moreno tries to make it a striking fight in this one, Pantoja's just going to eat him up again. I think he's going to be able to win in the brawls. I think he's going to be able to use his jab to control the distance and kind of just be the better striker on the feet. But if Moreno can mix in the takedowns, which I believe he can do, then I see him getting Pantoja tired. And I think Pantoja early on could be a handful with the scrambles, moving around on the ground. But as the fight goes on, I think Moreno could start to hold him down a lot more. I think Moreno could start to open up with the striking because Pantoja is going to be tired. We saw the fight between Pantoja and Askar Askarov, and I don't think Moreno is obviously on that same level of wrestling as Askar, but Pantoja got very tired in that fight. He was labored, and he started to get hit in the third round with clean shots from Askar. And this is a 5-round fight. I think that benefits Moreno pretty significantly. And ultimately, I think that Pantoja is going to be real tough early. I think he might win the first round, maybe even the second round, and you could catch Moreno at real good live odds. But I feel like you'll start to see a momentum shift some point in the second round where Moreno's wrestling is going to become more effective, and you're going to see Pantoja start to breathe heavy, get tired. And I think Pantoja is going to stick in there and stay in it because I think he has really wanted this opportunity for a long time, and I think he's going to be very, very, very in there with his will to win and everything like that. But I just feel like he's getting a wilt away cardiovascularly, and we're going to see Moreno in those championship rounds show that championship experience. And I got Moreno winning 49-46, maybe 48-47, and avenging those two previous losses to Pantoja, getting the victory, and I believe getting his first ever title defense. I suppose his last fight, you could argue, was a title defense because he was the interim champion, but more of like a unification where he unified the belt. And now he's going for his first title defense because the first time he won the belt, he lost it right away to Figueiredo. So Moreno, I'm going to pick him to win here by decision.